name is Lynn Matkey, and I am a member of the Bailey's Harbor Historical Society Board. And it is so nice to look out at this group of people and see so many of you. We are always surprised because people are interested in the history of Bailey's Harbor. And it just goes to show that we as a small town, there's a great influence to keeping that history going, and what better way than to have your own local historical society and to have so many of you who are here tonight. A lot of you are members and some of you are not, and that is why in the back on the table we have membership forms for you. We would like to garner as many people as we can to join the Bailey's Harbor Historical Society. And it doesn't mean that you have to work hard or work at all, but to be a member helps us tremendously to know that you're interested and that we will send you a meeting notice every time we have a new program. This is our third meeting this year, and we're very happy that we had Bill Tischler for our first meeting, and the second one we featured the Nelson Family Store, and tonight we're doing postcards. And tonight I want to give credit to Susie Baldry and Christy, who this was their brainchild. Susie's sister Diane was the one who had many books of postcards of Old Bailey's Harbor, and Christy did, along with her mother Annie Pyle, also had postcards. So a lot of the postcards that we're going to be seeing tonight are from Diane and from Annie and Christy and Susie, and other people have also donated postcards for us to use tonight. And I'm not going to go into the history of postcards because I want to let somebody else do that. But before we begin, tonight is the night that we elect the officers of the Bailey's Harbor Historical Society. And so I want to present that slate tonight. And Leanne Despodes, where are you? Would you please stand up? She is our president-elect, and she also is a part of this program tonight. And sitting in front here, we have Christy Pyle, and she is our vice president/secretary. And that is because she has to play a dual role because we have nobody else to do that. So we thank you, Christy, for that. And I don't know, is Mary Moran here tonight? Mary Moran is our treasurer. So according to the Robert Rules of Order, of course, I'm going to open it up to nominations from the floor. And at this time, I will be receiving any nominations from the floor. Are there any nominations from the floor for any of these positions? And I have to ask it 3 times. Are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any nominations from the floor? Okay, then I present the slate of officers. Thank you very much. Leanne for being president, Christy, vice president secretary, and Mary Moran. I also want to say tonight that we're happy because we have had quite a bit of success in fulfilling our goals for this part of the year. We've conducted 4 publicized general meetings this year. We've published newsletters, and we also are conducting research, and the results were presented at a general meeting and also via our newsletter. I want to thank Leanne Despodes for doing that newsletter for us. We are also now a 501(c)(3) corporation, which means we are nonprofit, which also helps us tremendously. We are a member of the State Historical Society, and I'm really glad because Christy will be going to a seminar in a few weeks where we'll be garnering more information on what it means to be a historical society in a small town. So we're hoping she brings back lots of information for us. And we are also, Leanne and Steve, a member of the board, and Roy Cole are going to Washington Island next week, and they're going to be looking at what they have done with the archives on Washington Island, because we need to know more about those kinds of things. We're lucky enough that we have also procured a cupboard downstairs that we now can receive articles. So if you have something that you would like to donate to the Bailey's Harbor Historical Society, we would be very happy to take that. So we're in the infancy stages. There's no getting around that. But we are looking to the future. And we are looking to you people here to help us build on this strong foundation that we've started. So your interest in this organization is so extremely important. And it's so gratifying for this board to look out here and see you all tonight. And I just want to also say that I just want to continue to thank Roy Cole, who has been a leading driving force for us because of his knowledge. of background information being with the Wauwatosa Historical Society, and he's done so much of the groundwork for this organization. So I want to thank you, Roy, for that. I want to thank you a lot for that. So we will continue to carry on with this work, and we are looking forward. I hope that a lot of you are not snowbirds. I know that some of you are, and that's fine, because we'll expect you back in the summer. But for those of you who are not snowbirds, we hope that you will come to our November 11th presentation. And it's going to be a surprise to you, and it's going to be a surprise to us, because we haven't quite figured out what we're going to be doing on November 11th. But I can assure you it's going to be very interesting, and we're looking at different venues to present to you. And if you have ideas for us, family histories that you want to share, or something to do with the Bailey's Harbor history, we are open to that. So please stop and see one of the board members. We're all accessible. So afterwards, after the meeting, I also want to encourage you to eat a lot tonight. We have lots of brownies and goodies and cookies and coffee. So help yourself. If you want to go back before the program actually starts, please feel free to do so. So without further ado, I want to have Leanne Despodis come up here, and she's going to tell you a little bit of history about postcards. How many of you at one time have received a postcard in the mail? 100% of the people here. So it's a very relevant topic tonight, because we've all participated in either sending a postcard or receiving one. Although I don't know how the future is going to be with email, but postcards are a part of our history. So Leanne?
Well, before I start in earnest, Christy and I noted in the Wisconsin Historical Society little publication that we get periodically that we are a step ahead of them. This poster, Postcard Wisconsin, Wisconsin Archive Month, October. But here you are in September. How exciting is that?
Go Bailey's Harbor!
Well, postcards are becoming recognized much more as an important archival medium. Now, I want to give you a very superficial, I hope very brief idea of the history of postcards in the United States. The more I read about it, the more I thought, wow, I could talk about this for an hour. But then I said no. There's a name for postcard collecting. It's called deltiology. And it was coined in 1944 at Ohio State University when some very avid collectors wanted to have a term that would distinguish postcard collecting, like philately does with stamp collecting, or numismatics does with coin collecting. So the classics professor and librarian got together and came up with deltiology. Deleton is like a small illustrated tablet in ancient Greece, and logos, of course, means the study of something. So they put it together, and that's what we have. So if you received my member email, I asked you to unlock your inner deltiologist, you might remember, and I guess you have. It's one of the top collectible areas in the country, probably just trailing stamps and coins, and it's popular because it appeals to so many people. Places, people, holidays, birthdays, trains, steamships, libraries, government, advertising, any interest that you might have, you can probably expand looking through and looking for old postcards. Now, in this country, our first postcards came out in 1873. And the Postmaster General noted in his annual report that there was a demand for it. He felt that people were satisfied that we were going to have postcards, and he thought it would be a good source of revenue. The first color souvenir postcards were sold at the Chicago World's Columbian Exposition in 1893. They were what's called a single back, address on the back, picture on the other side, but there always had to be a space left for the message that you write, because the post office would deliver nothing that had any message where the address was. They had very strict rules about that. All these postcards were just a single penny for postage until 1952. And then they started going up, and of course now we're paying for the postage and the cost of the card when we buy one at the post office. That's a fairly recent innovation. And because a lot of the cards we're seeing today are very old, they're from the beginning part of the 20th century, you might be interested in knowing that Kodak developed a special camera that printed on postcard backs. When you had it developed, you could put it on postcard backs. And there was a little door in the back of the camera, so you could scribe whatever you wanted to. Like some of the postcards, if you've seen in the information office, it'll say like Main Street, Bailey's Harbor, and some of the letters are backwards and all that. And I can see how that could happen, you know, doing it like that. Well, pretty soon they developed a real photo service in 1907 where anybody could take a picture and have it made into a postcard, which if you look at some of your old family pictures, I know I have a picture of my mom sitting on a little chair with a big, you know, frou-frou hat on when she's about 3, and this was a postcard. A picture of my great uncle with his horse. I'm sure people across the country weren't that interested in them, but their families could send these off, you know, to let people know how the family's growing, or, you know, what is the new horse I bought, or whatever else came up. By 1910, 678 million postcards were being sent per year in the United States. Now, the country didn't even have 90 million people in it. It was a mania. People just went wild for postcards. It's called the golden age of postcards, about 1907 to 1915. And at this time, the divided back postcard, you know, the kind that we use with the address and then the little message that you write, having a wonderful time, wish you were here, or something equally profound. The picture was on the reverse. And they were collected by thousands of people, all ages. Postcard albums were sold. They wanted not to have just a plain old postcard you buy, but one that was sent to you. Now, you wouldn't believe it, but this was controversial. Big controversies. People were worried. Postcards were really the email of their day. I know it sounds crazy, but listen to some of the concerns. Risque pictures, especially from across the pond. These were confiscated and burned by the Postal Service. In the American magazine in 1910, a man named George Fitch, feared the extinction of letter writing. He said the souvenir card was for the man of few ideas and a torpid vocabulary, and has become a menace to the letter-writing ability of an entire nation. In the same magazine in 1906, a John Walker Harrington laments that bookstores have devoted themselves almost entirely to postcards. He refers to collectors' special albums as monstrosities. He decries patchwork sofa pillows made from leather postcards. He despises wooden postcards. A poem in Putnam's magazine in 1907 called them an infesting modern microbe. Describes the collectors as asinine. The typical message as a flippant grin in place of a real interchange of thought. OMG, does any of this sound familiar? These critics notwithstanding, people continued to enlarge their collections and fill their albums with joy and abandon. The First World War, though, brought an end to the frenzy when Germany lost most of its postcard publishing houses. And the telephone became more popular, so people could keep in touch fairly easily with a phone call as phones spread around the country. The real photo view cards, and those are, like the scenes in towns and the countryside and so forth, they did continue to be popular. American printing skills improved to kind of take the place of these beautiful German cards that used to come over. White border cards took over. I remember those when I was like a little girl. They always had that nice white frame on them, which I thought and still think looks really nice. They did it to save the cost of ink. So there was no art there. Advancing technology allowed cards later to be printed on a very high rag content paper. And you might remember these, the cards themselves almost felt like linen. And they were often wildly brightly colored. They became very popular as a cheap way of advertising. And I think that one of the first few cards we have is one of those. The building of America's highway infrastructure can be documented almost every step of the way by linen postcards. Then, of course, World War II intervened. Postcards kind of fell off because we needed, material for the war effort. And the production was limited until the war ended. And again, technology changed things. The photochrome postcard came on the scene. And those are the cards that we see now, the ones we go to Nelson's or the drugstore or wherever to buy. The bright, colorful, realistic-looking pictures. They were launched by the Union Oil Company. They started putting them in their western service stations, and soon it spread, and that was the type of card that kind of took over the country, and that's where we are now. Nowadays, libraries, universities, and museums are expanding their holdings of postcards as primary source material. These little pasteboard communications provide insight into daily activities, history, and countless researches into American life and business. As we examine and analyze our Bailey's Harbor postcards tonight, we might ask ourselves, where else would we find images that portray our changes over time of a little bitty lakeside town in northeastern Wisconsin? Probably the only place. So we're going to turn now to Sue Baldry, and Christy is operating her computer. They've mounted all sorts of examples, and we'll talk about them, and hopefully a lot of you will have stuff to add for us. Thank you so much. Can I just...
I'm not a computer expert, so if I start sinking, somebody save me.
Well, this is a sister, excuse me, this is a picture of my sister Diane Pyle. She collected postcards for as long as I can remember, and I never realized how many she had until when she passed away 5 years ago, and I found the books that she had cured. She's very organized, and if you get a chance to look back through the book, she collected them, and she collected them by towns. So she has a vast group of them, but they're done not just to Bailey's Harbor, but she has Sister Bay, Ephraim, anything that was Door County. She really, really enjoyed this. After she passed away, I didn't know quite what to do with them. I had a lot of people call and say, could I have this card or could I have that card? And I really hated to break up the collection. Going to the library, they said, it's awesome, they would love to have them, but how could they protect them because they're in plastic sleeves? And unfortunately, people have a tendency to borrow things and not return them. So when this came about and we developed this wonderful society, historical society, we thought, well, let's try doing a program, putting it on a DVD, and then offering it to the library so that you could go in and view them there. Needless to say, after Christy and I sat going through these, we do not have on this program everything that we saw because you'd be here till morning. So with that said, let's start. And this is also going to be a program of interaction. as we sat and looked at these pictures, there's so much that we don't remember or don't know. So if any of you can shout out, so, oh, I knew what that is, or that was this, or that was that, please let us know, because this is why we're here, not only to offer something, but hopefully to get something back. This was what we started out with. It says, "Greetings from Wisconsin, the nation's summer vacation land." And a lot of cards were printed. And I think, Leanne, this is kind of what that linen look you were talking like.
This is absolutely what they look like, yeah.
Okay. This is Door County, as we all know it. Unfortunately, most people who come up here think that Door County starts when you go north of Sturgeon Bay. You all heard that one? This is Bailey's Harbor. Now, they're not going to be in sequence as far as time. We thought we'd kind of flip them back and forth. This shows Bailey's Harbor. We don't know the year. A lot of them don't have the year on them, but it's interesting to see. You can see Nelson's Dock when it was really in good shape. Let's see, what else is up there?
Well, it's before the Lutheran church was torn down, but after the new one was.
Okay, there's the Emmanuel Church when it was where it existed, and then the church was built then next door to that, right in that
So
area.
probably around 1980, don't you think?
I would guess about 1980. Isn't that awesome to see that whole shoreline and the water? Do you know whose dock that is on this end? That would have been Anklam Dock.
And then that's Florian's.
Don't be afraid to shout it out. There you go, there's Florian's.
Gonna make everybody seasick with them.
I can't really see here. Okay. Now, this was an earlier one. We were looking at this and trying to figure out some of the buildings.
They must have been down very low.
Can you imagine the pilot up there shooting this thing?
Well, the old, what building was this?
What building is that one?
I think that's the Old Town Hall.
Let me see if I can get a close-up on it.
Okay.
And here's where the post office is now?
That's where the post office, that was part of the Tuft property, I believe.
Or is that where the post office is now?
That's where the post office is, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a vacant lot.
Okay.
Okay, and the theater is there.
It's a theater. I can close up on things if any,
Okay.
what?
Show them where Florian's is now. Okay, come down. There's Florian's. There. And that building coming down one, Christy, remember? Does
Yeah.
anybody remember what that was? I remember it being called the priest's house. Okay, the old rectory of St. Mary's. Did the priest actually live there?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the Catholic parsonage? Okay. And then, Christy, wasn't there something you pointed out that was there?
Well, I was just wondering if this would have been Pruder's grist mill? Pruder's
Sawmill?
sawmill, I mean?
I would think it
The
was.
foundation from it?
We have a microphone up here, a portable mic or not?
What,
Do
right
girls-
here? Can
Yeah.
you hear me, like, if I talk in here?
Yes.
Okay, then you talk in
Okay.
there. Or here, I'll hold it.
Was it Pruder's sawmill?
Right. And he's where Jim Tischler's house was. No. He owned that. He owned that.
Behind Verlin's garage.
Yeah, and that's where that is. I think.
Oh, I'm trying to get it.
Okay, there it is.
Can you back up a little more?
Sure.
There you go.
I think the house in the bottom of this right there, I think that's my house.
I think it is.
The Catholic church would be over on the left.
Right?
Is that the old Catholic church?
Yes.
Now behind, if you drop the arrow down, that's where the seven the Stages of the Cross.
Right in here.
Oh, really?
Stations of the Cross, I can't.
We do what we can.
And then they knocked the church down and made that whole area.
Interesting.
Now, down below my house, which is the biggest one you see at the bottom, the next one down would be the old gas, the house in front of the gas station was not counting the gas station.
Susie, can you repeat what he's saying?
Oh,
He's trying to get another microphone here so we can hear what somebody comments are.
this is not the best, but it'll work.
Okay, what you're seeing at the bottom, she has that's where the gas station parking lot is, I believe, today. And up from that the larger house, right there, I believe that's the present Cedar Beach Inn.
I can't scroll because I don't have
And
my
then
side.
as you go up, I'm not sure of the rest. But the Stations of the Cross, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Stations of the Cross would be just south of the church that you see there, the Catholic church over there on the left.
That's the new Catholic church, that's not the old.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, is it?
that's the current one.
Okay.
Was that theater put up like right after World War II? The Quonset Hut Theater? Yeah.
I remember when it was put up because my dad helped build it. And I was born in 48, so it had,
Yes.
Is this working?
all right, now what was that crack about 48? Born in 42, actually.
That sounds right.
So I was born in 42, so then that had to be built when I was aware of things, which is probably at least 48 or 50.
It was probably 46 or 47. I think it was around right after World War II.
Right after World War II, then it was built. Okay.
When was that torn down?
It was torn down about 2 or 3 years ago. Is that more than that? Time just certainly flies, doesn't it?
So, well, if it was built in like 47 or 48, I can see my house with no trees in front of it
All right, that is
and no
the-
cedar trees
And that's just down from the new schoolhouse, or the most recent
or
schoolhouse.
Fanannies, let's say.
Now, this building right down here in front, is that what was the town hall? My dad tells the story when he was a young man, and well, not so young, but they had a plague of locusts. And the town board would hire people to come down, and they would mix DDT with sawdust. They would take it out in bags and walk through the fields with it, throwing the DDT-enriched sawdust in order to kill the locusts. And that was done through the town in those days, and I think it was probably at that town, near the old town hall.
So I'm drinking DDT water, you're telling me?
That's what you're doing.
Okay, let's move on to the other one, because we could be here all night. And we all have these on display. If you've got some things that you guys want to let us know, please do. This is a postcard that you probably saw enlarged up there. And it says, "Dear friend, don't consider me awful, but for not writing before." It's hard to read. As you see, I am not home long at a time, and when I did come home, they forgot to give me my mail. When I get back home, I will write again. I am here after
Peas.
Peas.
Peace. Okay, I will be home about Wednesday, your friend, Don something or other. But that's quite an amazing, we're guessing that this part to the side here is the kiln that was up by the high school, by the school. Lime kiln.
Yeah.
This would have been the backside.
All right, I'm going to give this microphone out. Can somebody, Lynn, can one of you work this We're going to hand it out to people, and I'll stand at the thing. And I'll stay up here. This, if you look right in the center, we're guessing that that was the,
That was a sawmill.
that was a sawmill. Pruders, where Pruders was. So that would be about smack dab in the middle, and there to the right is again the town hall, which was used as a schoolhouse when the original schoolhouse burned down where the Espresso Lane is now. And that's where they went to school until they built the new school.
Oh, can I throw in a tidbit on hand-tinted postcards? I think this is a hand-tinted postcard. It certainly looks like it. And in my reading, I found that they used to do these like an assembly line fashion. Women generally did it, and one person would each do a color, and they would often dampen the paintbrushes with their lips, which caused illness. They finally had to do away with the whole thing because the lead in the paint made these people so sick.
Okay. This is coming into Bailey's Harbor. Hasn't changed a bit, has it? Look at the wonderful view, which we got back a number of years when the town bought the property and they cut the trees down. Right smack dab in the middle is one of the buildings that must have been at the end of the docks out. Anybody know what year that car was?
Let's see if we can.
Look at that.
Who said 37 first?
Somebody. 37?
Okay, let's see if I can get that.
What kind of car is it?
Chrysler.
Chrysler. Wow. And it's gravel roads.
That's probably the car of the guy who took the picture.
I bet you're right.
Probably.
He did that.
Okay. Lakeside Lodge. This was on Frogtown. Frogtown Road. It no longer exists. There's a house there, I believe, right now. It's on the corner before you go up towards the road that used to go to Boynton Chapel. This goes way back. One of the docks, and we're not sure which dock it was. Marianne, would you know which dock this was?
At the end where the ships would drop off boxes that were being delivered to Bailey's Harbor. And also if you were shipping out something, you would leave it in that shed at the edge of the dock and the ships would take it away. But that's definitely hand clam. I have some other pictures of it over on the wall. Did you all hear her? It was Nathan's dock. Nathan's dock with a big shed.
Is that the location of Anclam Park?
Yes.
Still is, except that at this time, the pier itself was 300 feet out into the harbor.
Make her happy.
Yeah. At the time this was taken, Anclam Pier was stretched 300 feet out into the harbor, and the shed was at the end. So the ships could deliver their freight and also pick up freight to be taken to Chicago and Buffalo, New York. What time frame?
Does anybody recognize this name, Miss Olivia Rotman? Does anybody know who that is?
Olivia Traven.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Dear Olivia, Gladys and I went out for strawberries for your birthday. Some that we picked, excuse me, but they came back. I will bring some for you when I come back to Milwaukee. Had a long letter from Aunt Anna yesterday. Emma. Aunt Dora was here today. She was sorry you didn't come with me. And that was in 1913.
That was the back side of the previous postcard.
That was on the back side of the previous postcard. Main Street, Bailey's Harbor. Wow, huh? You see the cordwood stacked to the front?
That thing
We're not, that probably would have been Anclam. There's a church back there. That must have been the original Catholic church.
sit in the same location as the Catholic Church sits now?
Did the old Catholic Church sit in the same position as it does now?
No, the old church was in the parking lot.
To the north?
Yes.
Okay. It was St. Mary's. The garden, Rockledge Door Common. This was Anklam's cottages, and some of them still exist up by the Lutheran Church, behind the Lutheran Church. They were
Anybody
else.
here own one of these?
Anybody own one?
No?
Anybody own one of the cottages, the Anklam cottages that are here tonight?
Did,
No.
got the radio? Got the mic, Lynn? These were all Elsie Anklams.
Yeah, those are Elsie Anklam. You said that you own one of them, but it's not on that picture. The one that's on the other side, okay.
Ooh,
This,
the GE.
this was the inside of some of the cottages. Look at the fireplace.
I like the GE kitchen.
Yes. Modern housekeeping.
Susie, can you explain the phone
Okay,
number? We
do you
were
see where it says Elsie Anklam, Bailey's Harbor, Door County, Wisconsin, phone 1R31? Do y'all remember what that was? One long, it was line 1, 3 long, and 1 short. So it was party lines. We had our phone number was 52R14, line 52, 1 long and 4 short. So you really had to listen for your ring, because if you picked it up, you'd hear everybody else talking, and sometimes you did anyways because you wanted to hear what was going on. You didn't need a newspaper. All you did was pick up your phone. Yes.
Ours was 22R5 and our party line was Gordon Lodge.
See? Isn't that awesome? Yeah. This is Anklam Park, or Anklam Hotel, thank you, as it is now. And that was, again, Elsie's. This is the back of it.
But now she's line 53.
But now she's line 53, 3 long and 1 short. This was Anklam's store. This is where the Lutheran Church area is. Isn't that awesome?
It looks like they've improved the front on here.
Yes. Scenic Grove, that was torn down when the Lutheran Church was built. And behind the church, when we work up behind there, you'll find a lot of pieces of crockery that were broken up against the stones in the back. I found one whole dish up there one time when I was digging around.
Elsie owned the hotel, too. though.
And there, yes,
Her family owned this. I
her
think.
family. And there's Elsie standing right there.
No, that's Violet.
Oh, Violet, oh, I'm sorry, who?
Yeah. I only know that because she was a very close friend of my mother's.
Okay. Look
So
at those.
This was taken like probably in the 1920s, I'd say.
It says 1914. Look at those chairs.
1958,
Can you imagine what those chairs are worth today? 65 bucks. I'm assuming a piece.
Oh, that's funny.
I just
Look-
thought this was an interesting evolution of one building. You could, this is all
Louder.
the,
Can you talk in the microphone?
these last series of postcards is all the same building. The middle building on here, this is the inside of, there it is again, there it is again. Over time, it's been interesting that we've captured this one building in with so many different faces. Adding to the building, adding to the family.
Yes. And that was the Lutheran Church when it was up on top of the hill. And at one point, then it was brought down and it was built. That was the inside. And then at some point, the church was torn down and the new one was built. There you go.
If you back up to that last one, that was a Christmas time postcard, obviously, but a lot of the people who went to the church, they were from foreign countries, and they put little replicas of things that they liked on the altar at that time. So if you look at the altar, there's a number of things that wouldn't normally be found on the altar. They came in from the people who dropped them off as a respect for their church.
Wow.
Our grandmother was one of those that always was decorating the church. And we have a postcard of that somewhere.
I think that chandelier is in the new church, but
Yes. Yes, they are. The church, they were carried from the church that was on top of the hill, and it was brought down below the hill and then transferred to the south of the building. The chandeliers still exist.
Thought it was interesting that the stove door's open. Right there.
Oh, my gosh.
That doesn't look too good. Well, that's right, there's a tree right there.
It was a draft. My dad told the story of, as a young man, when his father, Otto Pyle, of course, everybody cut down cedar posts, and that was a way to earn money, and they would bring them down to the dock and take them out to the very end, where they were stored until a boat picked them up. And as a young man, or a little boy, he would ride with my grandfather on the with the horses and the wagon. And as they would drive along, it was all planks, loose planks, and they would clatter. And he said it was so scary because he felt like you're going to fall off and go into the water. And by the time they got out there, he was just like, oh my God, we are going to make it.
This is another series of the evolution of Anklam Dock.
Was that fishing boat Hickey's?
No, that was Leclerc's. I can remember that when I was a kid.
A Leclerc?
Oh, yeah, I can remember when they fished there.
Okay, so you're about my age too, aren't you? Thank you.
We were wondering about why this was called the Yacht Club when we were looking through these. And I remember clearly, when I was growing up in town, we always called that the Yacht Club Dock. You could go to the bathing beach on Ridges Road, or you'd go to the Yacht Club Dock to swim. And I never could understand why it was called that. But is Barbie Anschutz, you're not here tonight, are you? No. Because she was at our meeting, and she said she was looking through old papers that her father-in-law had to do some kind of plumbing thing, you know, in that area, and that there were a whole series of lots on the edge of the lake that it said were owned by the yacht club. So it's a mystery. I mean, it'd be interesting to know. But apparently somebody was planning a yacht club at some point there.
Was that not the Postcard area?
No, this is Anklam's Dock.
Because you can see the background.
In town?
Yes.
Yes.
It's right across from the Lutheran Church, that dock, the Anklam Park. And that, we're guessing that that's the same one, or is it not?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah, the church. Yeah.
This is the back side of that postcard.
Dear cousin, I thought I would send you a
A postal.
postal of Bailey's Harbor, as this is all I have. We are all well and hope the same.
You are the same.
You are the same. Hardy. We'll write you a letter later. Edith Ducklin. Ducklin? They used to live here. Ducklin, yes.
Fish Creek.
Yeah, that's Fish Creek, that's right,
Yep.
the old,
Dupont Bay.
yeah, this one, the whales.
This is the Anklams from standing up above, looking down the old Anklam Resort,
Scenic Grove.
Scenic Grove. See, again, we have the Bailey's Harbor Yacht Club, and that is Anklam Dock. So we had it before they had it across,
Oh, long before.
long before. Anybody remember this? Come on, you know how old I am.
We were trying to figure out where this is in town because it looks like this would be Brand's store. Does that make sense? So where do you think this is in town? Would this be the Blue Ox? Or what was once Gruber's? Was it Gruber's store? Or are we farther back?
Right, that fence was in an early postcard.
It's hard to tell.
Are you north of Anklam Park
Yeah. Yes,
Yes,
or south?
north.
I would say
We're
north.
thinking north,
It has to be north.
but we don't know.
The trees are too tall.
Well, do you think that fence is where the Gadai property is, on that right-hand side?
Possible.
Moving on.
Yes. This is another one of downtown. Now, we're thinking that this goes south. Christy, was this the one we thought was going south?
Our town is getting better than ever. Yeah, I think I can read it. This town is getting deader than ever. Nothing doing. Hope that you are enjoying yourself. I wish that all of the Gramps could have been here Halloween. So long, TCB, I think. This is one of those super early cards where you had to write your little tiny message in these blank spaces they left.
What is that? What do you think that like tower is? That the steeple back towards the left?
I think it's a tree.
It's a tree.
But this looks like Brand's store again, doesn't it?
No.
That's a nice house on the right. That first house looks like a more modern type, for that era.
Well, and in the middle on the left-hand side, does it look like they're animals?
Yeah.
Because there was a point where the town board said you had to enclose your animals, we couldn't let them run free in town. Is that, would that be, maybe?
No, I don't think so.
Moving on.
Moving on, there's the church. Now we know this one is good.
But without much foliage.
Yeah.
Who can guess where this is? Nope.
No, it's a step. Used to be the steps, didn't it? What was used to be called the steps?
Probably, yes.
Yes.
Bars,
But what is it
steps.
now?
What would be the steps? That would be
was
the
Savour.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
What? Restaurant Savour.
The restaurant Savour, yeah.
At this point, it was owned by Andrew Brand. He was another Brand brother of, the store, the Brand Brothers General Store. He was their brother, and he had a hardware store here for quite a long time.
Didn't Collins own it for a while too?
Oh, it was owned by lots of people. When I was small, I remember Andy Meyer's Hunting and Fishing Club, and
That was my grandmother. He was married to,
that's right.
yep, my grandmother owned that bar when she was married to Andy.
Mhm.
Who was she married to?
Andy Myers.
Andy Myers. It was called Andy's Hunting and Fishing Club.
Can you repeat that so that we get it on tape?
Can you hear? Okay, I'll take that back. Is that house still connected to the left?
Sure. Yes, it's still there.
Still there.
That's the sign down.
What is that that you did that? Was that your grandmother that was here?
Yes, my grandmother was married to Andy Myers, and they called it Andy's Hunting and Fishing Club. That had to be around 1950.
I think it's probably around that time. 15. And now we have the Cotton Club, which is now Florian's. Just like New York.
Just like New York, yes.
And then the Yum Yum Tree building would have been a grocery store then, I believe.
That was the Olsons that owned the grocery store.
I think this was the Nortons back then.
Oh,
Yeah, at that
yes.
time when the Cotton Club was there.
And across the street would have been where Nick Greer had his bar.
Nick Rear's Bar? I don't know. I think so.
Where the Blue Ox, what did Nick call his place?
Wait, Roseanne, Don, what did you call?
It's called Nick's Bar.
Nick's Bar.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Okay. Look at those cars, aren't they awesome? Oh,
What we thought was interesting, there's a motorcycle.
Oh my gosh, there's a motorcycle.
Somebody's sitting on it.
I hate to say that, but you know whose car that was? That was Uncle Hans's.
was it really?
He was the painter of the Cotton Club. Right.
Well, my dad had a Nash. It looked,
Like his car job. Just stay alive.
look at the street light hanging in the front, in the middle.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness.
Look at that. Yeah.
We had those all through town,
Hmm.
even on Guy Street.
Look at you.
Look at that. Oh, that has changed.
I hope we have a.
Florian's.
This building burned down, though.
Oh, yeah.
Florian's. The Florida?
The Florida.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, this is before, this is pre-palm tree.
But if you look, the Cotton Club, look at the windows here.
Yep.
Okay, then we go, there's the same windows.
Oh, there they are, yeah.
Yeah.
And now we'll get to look at, I wonder if that, who's mowing the lawn? What Katursky is mowing the lawn? The Florida Club.
Oh,
Ebony Room.
Overlooking Lake Michigan, 12 deluxe sleeping units. Where were those? Next door?
No, upstairs.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
upstairs.
Look at that.
This is the inside.
Oh, and see the skunks on the wall? Do you remember they always had that little slogan, "We're stinkers," or "Aren't we stinkers?" Something
Yes.
like that?
We all agree with that.
Well, doesn't someone tell the story that Florian and his wife Ada used to perform?
Oh, they did.
Oh,
I
they
saw them.
did.
Tell us.
I mean, should I say I saw them or I heard about them?
You saw them.
But yeah, he used to play the bass and she played the drums. And sometimes when it got real late in the evening, they'd get up and do that. It was a lot of fun.
She also played the accordion, didn't she?
I can't recall.
I think I remember, yeah, I think I
wouldn't
remember
doubt
she played the
it.
accordion too.
And could you not go in there and pick your own steak and Florian would cook it? I mean, it seems like I remember reading an ad in one of the old, back here, he would cook it for you. No?
Could be.
Could be. I don't remember that. I was too young.
I don't know that I was eating steak in those days.
And that was when the first swimming pool, my gosh, when they built that swimming pool in Bailey's Harbor, it was unbelievable.
Who all took swimming lessons there?
Anybody take swimming lessons there? Yeah, kids did. Yes. (1917).
TV and
And now the
electric.
telephone numbers have changed to 839 in 72. Wow. Again, on the right-hand side is where the yum-yum tree is, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Would this be Nita's garden gate?
No.
No?
Would that, anybody have any idea what that one
Close
is?
to the road.
That's what I'm, is that Aunt Olson's store there? On the right? Is
Yep.
Would that be the old store? Or would
Well,
that have
somebody's store. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it's now the Yum Yum Tree.
Yes.
been- Look at the lady's garb. That has to be late 1800s?
I think it's early 1900s.
Early 1900s?
Yeah.
Now, where is this showing from, Christy?
I'm guessing this is up from Ward Street, just, you come towards the bluff from Ward Street, because if you can see the old town hall. I'm guessing this is
Emily Hickey's?
Or
Or
Linsmeyer's?
Linsmeyer,
Linsmeyer's,
okay.
yeah.
Was it a Siler?
Seiler, Mark Seiler's house. Seiler's old.
I'm guessing. Correct me if I'm wrong, because
Yeah,
here's the
that's right.
water.
Yeah, you're right. That's old Seiler's.
And those rocks look like the rocks behind what used to be Emily Hickey's house, kind of slanted down off the bluff like they broke off.
Yeah, that's all along the bluff, yeah.
Would that be Severance Street where they abandoned it?
Probably that area, yes. And this, anybody recognize their families up there? Or-
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Are you in that yet?
Was I in that? Actually, I was teaching. I'm the one in the middle with the big bun. That's me.
Actually, I know some of my uncles are in this picture, but the names of, I think I'm correct about this. Annie Pyle made a delightful book on the history of Bailey's Harbor called The Way We Were, I think is the name of it. And she has this picture and she has the names of all the students in it.
Wow.
The teacher on the left was James Longimac, I think. Annie, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think James Longimac was the principal. And I thought Emma Tuff was a teacher at one time. Now, I don't see her on there, though, unless she was the...
I think she taught in that new school, in the newer school.
Okay.
Lone Rock near Bailey's Harbor. Would that be off of Frogtown?
Where is that?
We don't know.
Has anybody ever seen that rock? I've never seen it.
One thing that's interesting is we don't see many winter images. I think this is only one of 2 or 3 that we have out of the 300 or 400 that we've got.
That's a good point.
Wow, look at this. Don't you love the bicycles? No 3 speeds, 4 speeds. What store is this one at? Where is this at?
I don't know. I don't recognize, I wonder if this is actually Bailey's Harbor.
That's what I was just going to say. I don't think that's a Bailey's Harbor card. But it says Bailey's Harbor.
Well, H.J. Springs is absolutely,
Klingbeil. That was a name up here.
But I don't know if it's the same Klingbeils, because that, I know they spelled theirs with a K.
That's what I'm thinking. It was a K that was always.
well, there was an H.G. Springs in the history of Bailey's Harbor.
That's not the name.
Yes, absolutely, because there's lots of stuff in the town board records about
Oh,
H.G.
really?
Springs. Oh,
Well,
yes.
then it must be somewhere.
So it's somewhere there.
Huh.
No, we had a cheap cash store in town.
Dollar store.
Oh, this is a great winter scene.
Did anybody have parents who talked about cutting ice? Does anybody know where the ice house used to be in Bailey's Harbor? Behind the sawmill, and actually almost directly across from us there was one. Because as a kid, my mother would always say, now when you go in the summertime, don't go in the ice house because it's dangerous. Well, the first place we headed in the summer was in the ice house. And there was always gaps between the boards. So the light would filter in, and you go in and you play in the blocks of ice with, with the sawdust. And then we'd go home, and my mother would say, were you in the ice house? No. But we were full of sawdust, sopping wet.
Hayford's had a nice out west of town.
Who did?
Hayford, Barney Hayford.
Speaking of Lake
Barney Hayford had ice out north of town. That would be just before you get to Kew. You live there. And he used to he'd deliver ice during the summertime and stop at all the stores and stations and sell ice for their soda machines, not machines.
They were like insulated containers.
And years ago, there was also an ice house behind the yum tree. They had one there that they filled up. And I can remember being out on Kangaroo Lake down there by McCardle's in the wintertime, and they used to bring in ice there and into the shore and then load it up onto the wagons and bring it into town.
DNR wouldn't let you do that now. But we had ice box.
Ice lasts for months then? I mean,
No.
Would it last quite a while?
Deep into the summer.
Deep into the summer, I suppose the sawdust insulated.
They would deliver ice from Georgia.
Well, we had a refrigerator that had an ice box, and it would melt, and we'd have to clean it in the morning and dump the water out, and the iceman would come, and I think it was during the war that we got a refrigerator.
Is that Pruder Sawmill? That looks like Pruder Sawmill, isn't that what that is?
Yeah.
And that was located,
That was located where? Where was
Behind
Pruder
Keno's.
Sawmill?
I knew where it was, Susie. It was behind the shop that Gary M. used to have, and I was attached to Ernest Viste's building. And in the back there, you can see portions of Ernest Viste's building. And that Pruder Sawmill burned to the ground in 1932. I still have some pictures of it. But it was right behind Ernest Viste's building, and I was on the south end of that building. At this time, Doris Henning owns a house that's built on that foundation behind what is now Nathan's
Interesting.
Furniture Store. But Doris Henning has a home right back there. Her husband died this spring in that house.
The first sawmill, I think, was right over here by the
Yes.
Sandpiper Restaurant.
That's right, it was.
Can you repeat that?
Sandpaper?
Ben, can you repeat that so we can hear it? Ben?
What?
Could you repeat what he said so we can hear it?
Okay, Jumbo said that the sawmill was located where the sandpiper is now.
First off,
First sawmill
First
was
sawmill.
located where the sandpiper is, and he said there was foundation there
there
for
was, I can remember that foundation when we were kids, we played that foundation.
What happened to it? Did it burn
It
down?
happened to her, didn't it, Johnny?
That one burned too down.
I think sawmills are notorious for burning down.
A few years ago, when the water level went down significantly, if you walk down the beach where Doris Henning lives now, where the sawmill was, you could find all kinds of pieces that were probably parts of a sawmill, because I took them to a rolly pile and said, those are all sawmill pieces. So they came up after the water went down.
You're talking metal pieces,
Yes, yes.
pieces of metal. Now, this is a 4th of July parade, and do you notice anything different about it, other than its age? Yeah, they're going south. Look
When
at
did we
that.
start going north?
This
Anybody
is
know?
where the Harbor Fish Market and Custard's Last Stand are.
Schramm's building. Across the top it says Schramm, if you look careful, not big down here. What was this?
Can anybody guess? This was probably one of the first gift shops in Bailey's Harbor.
Red geranium,
You got it.
Armado, Billy Armado.
Mildred Armato.
It was built in the, where Wasserbeck's ice cream was, or...
Where Custard's Last Stand is.
Custer's Last
No.
Stand, yes.
I totally remember it now.
There it is.
Go back a minute, Christy, someone has a comment. Okay.
Does anybody know who the guy is that's there with the shorts and the white socks?
Oh, sure enough. You can
No? Does anybody want to volunteer to that?
Now you're looking south. And once again, that's the Harbor Fish Market, Custer's Last Stand, Keno's, which was Pruder's garage.
Wasn't
And-
that,
Go ahead.
wasn't that called the Frontier Saloon?
At one time.
At one point, yes, it was.
Washerbeck's Hall.
Pardon me?
Washerbeck's Hall.
Before Frontier Bar was Washington.
Yeah. It was built by Schramm's. If you go way up to the top, you can see where it says Schramm's. And then I believe Martha was a Schramm and married Jack Wasserbeck, so it's called Wasserbeck's. And there was many a dance held. No?
I think she was married to Schramm, who died, and then she married Jack.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
She was married to a Schramm.
She was a
That's right,
Kazmir.
and he died, yes. That's right.
A lot of weddings were held at that place, and I remember as a kid going there, and in those days, nobody had babysitters, so if you were invited to a wedding, all the kids went. And the little ones went in the house and were laid on a big bed and covered up with coats to keep them warm. And the rest of us kids would go out into the dance hall and slide back and forth between the dances with our sock feet.
They had movies there every Saturday night,
Movies
And
every
movies?
Saturday night.
Sunday night, I think.
Sunday night.
We also had roller skating.
Was that upstairs or downstairs?
No, that was in the dance hall in the back, where the dining room is. That was it, and there was a bandstand back there. Anybody remember Cousin Fuzzy? He used to come and play for the band, or the bands that we used to dance to.
Are you sure you were born in 1940?
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder about that.
I look pretty darn good though, don't I?
You absolutely.
And that,
Susie, our mothers talked about doing plays in there when they were growing up also.
oh yeah, Arlene, and in fact I saw Arlene Dykstra, who was the daughter of Lucille, one of the children, and we were talking about on Sundays we go into the dance hall because she lived there, and she used to put on ballet slippers, and she would dance on toe. I said, how did you, I don't know, but, and then Martha always, of course, had the ice cream shop, which was awesome. And Martha could ask you more questions in 5 minutes that you could answer in 10. She had all the answers for everything. And if you look up towards, near where that car was where the barber shop used to be,
You can even see the pole.
Lightning Jim,
Looks like doesn't it look like a barber pole?
barber pole.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It is, yeah.
He always went home with tissue where he cut you. Whenever Dad came home, he had little pieces of tissue all over his face. Lightning Jim. And he always danced. Real skinny guy, bald, and he was always dancing while he was cutting.
His name is Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson. They always called him Lightning Jim.
He always had a green visor on, Susie.
Yes, he did. Yes. One little story on Halloween, it was a big idea. The big thing was to go to tip his outhouse over. And every year they would do that. So one year he got really smart and he moved it. But nobody knew it. So when they came to tip the outhouse that night, they walked right through where it had been. That was the last year they came back and tipped over his outhouse.
I say good for him.
There's the streetlights again.
The only barber in York County that had a brand new LaSalle.
He also had a white Cadillac. Remember that? Oh my.
I remember that LaSalle that he
Oh.
had.
There was money in there.
I was not there.
Oh, come on, that's you.
I really wasn't.
What year do you think that was at the Oxen? Early 1900s?
Well, 50 years old.
I think that's from that 1909 series of 4th of July pictures. I'm pretty sure.
But tell us.
Well, if they're saying 50 years ago, and Bailey's Harbor was established in 1859, 48, 49?
But I think this was in 1909. And 50 years before that would be 1859, which is just before the Civil War. So if you enlarge that guy leading the oxen,
Who's he look
Look at that.
he's in blackface.
Yes, he is in blackface.
Wow.
Yeah, it's okay. This one's more crusty.
There's a newer view of Bailey's Harbor.
Oh, I didn't see this. What's this?
And again, they're going south.
This one we got from.
Is that a military man in the front? Is that a uniform on that man on the front?
Yeah. This one is the one on the right. This image Richard Lauder gave us, and if you look closely, he pointed out that it looks like it's kind of a reenactment of, politically correct, uncorrect term, cowboys and Indians.
I think the guy on the horse is Verlin Keno.
I think you're right.
Richard, can you?
Berlin's older than we thought.
It does look like a recreation, though, doesn't it?
Wow, that's amazing. I haven't seen that one.
Hope I'm not making anybody seasick with my.
No, you're doing great.
Wouldn't it be nice if you had the names for these people? I mean,
There.
Oh, what's playing, Christy? What's playing?
Tried to figure that out.
How many of us got our first kiss at the Lake Cinema? Huh?
Something sky.
Upstairs little room with the 4 seats in it.
oh,
The
Well, that
crying
was
room.
the crying room, yeah.
that's right. Can you see the movie, Christy? Can you move that up?
That's what we're trying to do.
Sky.
Something sky.
It looks like sex. S-E-K.
Not to most of us, Lynn.
Only to certain people.
Sky. Something sky.
It looks like a cowboy
Probably a Tom Mix movie.
or a John Wayne.
What about the next one, the other
Yep.
window?
Western sky?
It's too fuzzy. Yeah, it's just.
That would be the coming attraction. And the movies were changed. The movies were on, let's see, Sunday, Monday. How'd that go?
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. So there was 3 movies a week. And it was 25 cents to get in when I went.
If anybody knows how to run the old projector, we did salvage it.
Fred is here.
Oh, really? Oh, my. Well, I think Fred does, doesn't
Fred
he?
knows how to run that.
Fred Johnson used to run it.
You bet. He's here tonight.
Well, we've got it.
Who's got the projector? Sue, or who's that? Christy?
My brother does.
Yeah, Kevin does?
Yeah.
Wow.
It weighs a ton.
Everything weighed a ton.
And that would be from where the schoolhouse, where Orphan Annie's is now. The school bus is there, and I'm guessing that was when Bernard Betcher still had the garage, the Ford garage, directly down by the water.
You can see the cars across the street.
Look at that horse.
That was Todd Bakes's horse, I think.
Yeah, how do you have a horse?
He had a little horse they kept in the field there.
And they kept
Yeah.
the school buses there because Harvey Fairchild used to drive the school bus when he worked for Herder.
That's right, that's right. Annie, look at the size of the maple trees. I remember when those trees were dedicated, I got to read the poem, Woodman Spare That Tree. I always remember that, and they're still there.
What's that building right up there in the corner between the two of them, that little white one?
Where?
That white part, right smack dab, well, where,
There.
Here?
that would be,
This?
that one, the
That
Andy.
was my parents' business, is where the marina is now. On the south end of it was the Taste and Tattle Grill, and on the north end was a liquor store and a garage, you know, for cars and
We have a
stuff.
picture.
Was that Clayton and Jeans?
That was Clayton and Jean.
Yeah.
Jumbo, what were you gonna say?
One of the first cars that Bernard Betcher sold out of that garage, my great uncle bought it. It was his first car. And when my brother turned 16, my uncle traded it in, and my brother kept that car, and his son still has it. It's a
Oh, wow.
mid-40s Ford. So,
Oh, my gosh.
in fact, it's
It's parked outside of Keno's right now.
Oh, really?
I talked to Bill Betcher the other night, Jumbo, and he said that car probably sold originally for $1,200, brand new.
We all know that's the Brand House, or,
That's Gordy Brand's house, which is now Lori's, right?
Yeah. And I think they were drilling the well in the previous picture. That house was built in 1917, I think.
Who recognizes some of these ball players? That
Yeah.
was the 30s team, maybe?
I think this, I'm just guessing, because just looking at the house, you know, and so forth, and the cars, I think it might have been around 1920, which was a really big year for baseball. That's when the Hall of Fame, I think, was built and stuff.
What's on his head? Oh, yeah, so when did they wear baseball hats like that?
maybe that was the mascot.
I don't know. That guy furthest toward the front looks to me like Harry Brand, but I wouldn't swear it.
There's
Yeah.
no names on the back of this.
No, no. If anybody has insights, it'd be nice to know.
Now, where's this located?
Okay, that little building, I think, is the Cape Cod Inn, which was kind of a little bar facility where the marina is now. And then that store on the right is where Nelson's Hardware is now, and that was the second Brand Brothers General Store. The first one is across the street where the Cornerstone is now.
What happened to that little Cape Cod thing?
It burned.
And this is the blacksmith.
That's a blacksmith inn, I believe.
What was that Cape Cod building? Was there a bar or something, or what?
I think it was that Jumbo that just asked that. I think I talked to your dad once, and I think he said it was like a bar. They might have had I don't know, slot machines in there. Or, it wasn't a restaurant though, because he always said the Taste and Tattle was the first real restaurant in town. So, and I believed everything the man said.
Here's a trivia question. How many bars were there, Bailey's Arbor?
Many.
13. Yeah, most of any indoor town in the town.
13 bars.
Very good business.
They weren't right in town, but they were spread out. Like Gordon Lodge.
Wow.
Can you see the planks that I was talking to you about before when my dad talked about riding out there? What that must have been felt like to been riding on that? Up in the air on a,
You wouldn't find me there.
no.
Oh, sorry, Okay, this is just like the backside of what we were just looking at, I think.
Yep, that's the Cape Cod.
Okay,
That's the brand.
right.
That's the black there.
And I think this is one of those super old postcards where you couldn't write a message on the back, and Paul Brand probably sent it home to let his parents know that he had arrived somewhere or something like that, I would guess.
Would this building be Dorlean's, what used to be the beauty shop? Because this is.
No, I think they built that.
Yeah.
I think you remember that was the Brand Brothers pier
Mhm.
that stretched out like that, Leanne. This was not.
Right, it was right
This
behind the Brand Brothers store, the picture we just
right
looked at.
next to it.
Yeah.
And all those little houses next to it belonged to fishermen that fished, from that point. And they would come in with their catch for the day, and this was their location where they.
Like these little boathouses in the water?
And so forth. And the previous picture was a
here.
bar that was owned by an Andrew Hickey. And it was called the Cape Cod Inn, and it did belong to Andrew Hickey. And he also owned the house across the street from the Cape Cod Inn, and we have pictures of that too. In fact, a lot of the pictures I brought tonight were from 1905, when the town of Bailey's Harbor hired a photographer to come in and take pictures of the prominent places in Bailey's Harbor, and those are all on display up there.
Was Andrew Hickey an ancestor of the present-day Hickeys?
Yes, definitely. And at that time, they owned both the little house across the street and the Cape Cod Inn. And that little house across the street eventually went into the hands of Moses Kilgore, too.
Susie, on that picture prior to that, if you look, you can see, no, go ahead one more. The house that's 2 doors over from the dock, the
Right.
low house, no, the other way. What's more there?
So-
That was McCardle's house downtown. That was their original home, and that was taken down and taken out to the resort, and 2 of the cottages at the resort were made from that house. And then the present home is built on that same site.
Oh, that's
You know
interesting.
when the present one
See, that's what's so
built?
great about having this, because there's so much information.
839.
My grandfather built the house.
Yeah, I know. We found some of his papers in the house.
Yeah. My dad had a paper of what he built the house for. I was sure the labor was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Chris, are those cottages still out at Maxwell, or have they
Not
disappeared?
at Maxwell, at Kangaroo Lake.
Oh, at Kangaroo Lake. Oh.
Yep.
And they're still there?
Oh, yes.
Huh.
What did you say happened to the old McCardle house?
They took it apart in 2 pieces and took it down to Kangaroo Lake, to the resort, because they had just bought the resort at that point. 2 of the cottages are from that house.
Oh.
They took houses apart and put them together and carried them all over the county.
One of the programs we talked about, I think Christy and Leanne talked about, is that a lot of houses in Bailey's Harbor were moved from one place to another. And we're looking at that for a program, which houses were moved.
This is the one, Susie, that's looking south.
Okay, this is the one that's looking south. So, we figured that the water is on the left, so we have to be looking south.
Because there's Pruders.
That's Pruders, that would have been the sawmill? Okay,
And I think those were wooden sidewalks on the east side of the street.
Would this be the
Like
Moxie shop?
here, were those telephone poles?
what?
Were those telephone poles? Sure.
Or they might have been telegraph poles.
Oh, I never thought about telegraph poles.
Yeah.
Is that a spire or a spear up there? Spire?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that might have been the Catholic Church? Or maybe even the Lutheran Church because it was up higher?
Well, this looks like the backside of the town hall.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Huh.
Would this be the Fish Creek Moccasin Shop now? This building? What was Nelson's first store?
That's from County F looking south.
I think
Right.
it's from F looking south too.
Yeah, you're probably on top of the old Brand Brothers store.
I don't know.
You know, up one of their windows.
That wasn't their store right there.
Yeah, it was probably the livery station that was right next door. Keep going.
Susie, I think that's Brand's store right in front of them.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking.
This is basically the same image, but from ground level. Right.
Because off to again to the left, you can see Pruders, and then this would have been Brands on the corner.
Those look like animals in a buggy, don't they?
Yep.
And that's McCardle's house right there. Which side? Right there.
You think so? I think this is Howard Avenue here.
I don't think that's McCardle's house. I think it's
I
south.
think this
I
is
think
Howard.
that's south of McCardle's house.
I think that's how.
Yeah, 'cause
If
it's
that's-
That's my street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because of
You
where
know
this,
better than I.
because of where the sawmill is. That's the only reason I think that. I don't know. See how close?
Yeah.
Now this is coming down F,
This is looking west.
looking west.
So this would be Mariah and Sam. Mariah Good, Sam Croman, this is the Corns. This is what? What is it, Guy Street?
Yeah.
This is Guy Street. This is where the old cigar factory was. Would this be Weisgerber's?
I think it would have to be.
Look at all the logs.
Well, that's where they would stack the stuff, the cordwood that they would stack. Where did anybody know where the cordwood went?
Went to Chicago area, didn't it?
Chicago, okay. This is definitely coming down F, going into Bailey's Harbor.
We're looking from Gary Nelson's house.
Yes, we're, yeah. There you go. Nothing there in the corner. This has got to be really early. But there's nothing in the
1905.
corners.
Oh,
that road? What road is that?
County F.
F.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'll read it. Bailey's Harbor, November 7th, 1905. Friend Hannah, I received your card with all the goods, I think. Nation? I can't. Oh, troublesome life have not begun yet. Old dog. The weather is turning very cold from your friend behind the bar. We'll never know.
Now, this is basically the same image, just farther down the road. Because if you go back,
Ah, there it is.
what was this building?
Could that have been wasn't the earliest school in that location?
Looks like a schoolhouse.
It looks like a school.
Well, that wasn't the Tufts house?
No, this is coming down F.
This is
Oh,
F.
that's F, okay.
I would say that would have to be F. because it-
Yeah.
Yes, that would be Nelson's.
Is this the Hickey house? Where the town hall is now?
Was that the Hickey house where Christie has the marker?
Would be over here.
Didn't they move the Hickey house?
The Hickey house was moved, yes.
There's another one.
And it's still standing just down the street.
Annie, was it in your book that I remember seeing a picture of the shoreline in Bailey's Harbor in, I think it was either late 1800s, and as far as the eye could see, the cordwood was stacked on thousands and thousands of cords. That's how they made their money, you know, they walked on it. You know, when you think about the woods that were, you know, must have been taken down to send that cordwood to Chicago.
Look at there's a little horse on there.
No,
For those who couldn't read.
You know what? No, you know what? I'll bet that was Andrew, what's his name? Andrew Brand's horse barn. Not Andrew, Will, the one with the racehorse.
See the horse on that little barn?
I'm not sure, but I think that might have been William Brand's and August Brand's barn that they kept their horses in. William Brand was like super proud of his horses, and he used to race them. One of them, after he died in the influenza epidemic, the following spring there was an article in the paper telling who bought his racehorse. So I guess they were pretty cool horses.
Probably where Mary Alice gets her love of horses, huh?
Yeah.
I would guess.
The family.
Yeah, those are goats. I think this is that touring car that used to pick up people in Sturgeon Bay and then bring them up to vacation. And those guys I know are two of my uncles, but it's hard to tell. I think one is Harry, and I don't know who the other one is. But he used to drive that thing.
Was Harry Brand a sheriff of Dorchester?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's what
And he used to drive that bus.
I thought.
He used to drive that on that brochure, you know, that vacation brochure. He's the guy driving that. I can always spot him because his face is just a little different. It just has a different shape.
Hasn't changed much. Thank goodness. Such a beautiful building.
It will be.
This was Lenora and Otto John, my parents, built this, I believe, in 1948. I still have an invoice, you know, like for the equipment that went into it. And Jumbo's dad assured me that this was the first actual just plain restaurant that was in Bailey's Harbor. Then later they added on, you know, other, as I said before, a gas station and beer and liquor store and so forth and so on. They did everything. They rented motorboats, they sharpened saws, I don't know, anything they could think of. Because when you have, like at those days, a 3-month or 2-month season, you had to think fast.
And where's this located?
Oh, and this is, would be where that Cape Cod Inn was and where the south end of the marina is. There was a little parking lot to the south, but this little thing was the restaurant.
And then Clayton and Jean had their, they bought that there.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
So would this have been the original?
that was, yes, yeah. And then after my dad became ill and my mom just couldn't do everything anymore, so they just closed the restaurant down after several years.
Clayton and Jean buy it after that?
We sold it to Blumgrens. They've been gone for some time. And I think Clayton and Jean, well, Betty will know.
Betty, where's
Yeah, Clayton and Jean bought it from Blumgrens. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Clayton Mecklenburg and Jean Weiss, for those who don't know.
Here's a trivia question. How many gas stations were in Bailey's Harbor?
Oh,
5.
Where?
Hosier's,
yep.
Keno's, Betcher's, Clayton and Jean's, and Hayford's had one on the corner down here.
Yeah,
That's
they had
right.
gas ones. Weren't there even pumps in front of the grocery store at one time?
That I don't know.
I-
It comes out by the AC Cab. But
Definitely.
Right here in town, there's 5 gas stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did they make a living? How did they make a living?
If you look at those buildings, there's a lot that hasn't changed about them.
Hasn't changed much.
The Sands Motel.
Oh, this is at, right when you turn down Ridges Road on the right. Now it's a bunch of little condos, but this was the motel 70s, was it?
Yeah.
60s?
The 60s.
And the house that's on that property is the one that is across the street, kind of. Yeah.
Carl and Carol Jonas.
That's an aerial view of that same property. And this is what Lynn was just talking about. This house and garage were moved across the street.
That's that house, it's green now, and it's
No, clean.
And here's when Bill and Jackie Sasuski owned it.
Yes.
Okay, what is this green thing?
It's a dragon dinosaur.
Why?
A dinosaur? Did it represent anything?
Who made it?
Does anybody know who made it or why they made it and why they put it there?
And we don't know what the connotation of the dinosaur was.
Whose garage is it in now?
Yeah.
I mean, I have an acquiring mind here. I want to know what that green thing is.
Whose lawn ornament
Because
is
it's
it?
not on this picture.
No, it's not there. It's not on that one either.
What is that?
Don't know. Parent motel? Some point in our future, we're going to try to do a program on the different lodges and hotels and establishments that we're in Door County or in Bailey's Harbor.
Wall-to-wall carpeting.
Whoa. That's on the north end of Bailey's Harbor. It's still there.
Okay, if anybody can tell us where this is in Bailey's Harbor?
Generic.
That's what we thought.
Where?
It's a generic card. They just use a picture and put the greetings on there.
We have a whole kind of series of generics.
Does anybody ever remember the 4th of July parade when, what's his name, Gordon Lodge? Phil Gordon, they had an outhouse on it, on a float, and he was in there dressed as a woman, and he came out. Ooh, people were so upset. That was obscene. They were just really angry. He was.
Now, we're not sure if this is Bailey's Harbor, but,
I don't think it is.
okay. moving on.
Can I just ask one question? This actually belongs to me. It belongs to me, and I feel like that roof that's in the lower right-hand corner, I just feel like I should know what that building is. So if you can just all think about that and let me know.
Isn't the water in the upper part of the?
I'm wondering if this is Egg Harbor, or just some random other place, who knows, I don't know.
That's looking the other way.
Oh.
Look at that beautiful beach.
This is the County Park Beach on Ridges Road, the way it used to be.
There's Leanne.
Yes, there I am in that little yellow swimsuit.
Christy, that's me. Who? That's me in a yellow bikini.
Oh.
And those are my 2 sons.
Oh,
Really?
And I can tell you the story behind that. I was reading on the beach.
Who's got the microphone?
Who's got the microphone?
Let's get a close-up of Carol.
Oh, how
Must give
funny.
it away.
Okay, I'll try to talk. I was reading on the beach, and my youngest son, he would talk to anyone. And he said, Mom, there's a man with a big camera, and he's going to take our picture. And I said, I am not going to be in any picture. And he says, he came up to me and introduced himself, and he said, I'm taking pictures for a postcard. He said, you don't have to do anything but do what you're doing, reading. Okay, so he took the picture, and the next summer, my husband and those 2 boys were at Nelson's. And they stood there and they said, somebody was trying to decide what picture to buy, postcard. And he says, well, I think you need to buy that one because that's my wife and these 2 young boys.
Carol, can I get your autograph before you leave?
That is my 5 minutes of fame.
Oh, Carol. I think we'll pick that up. That's great. That's great.
And that was what we call the bathing beach. At one point, there was a U-shaped bathing house down there that had, you could go down there and change your clothes, and then Hickey, what was it?
Minnie Hickey.
Right.
She sold pop, and I never will forget the orange crush when you had those little things in the
Oh.
bottom and those little pieces of fruit. Yeah, she sold soda. And I think she sold
Candy bars?
yes.
Yeah, all that stuff.
We're almost done. Oh. This is.
This is from the bathing beach looking at Bailey's Harbor across the water.
Is this what you thought was the ice house?
And you know, the wonderful thing about it is that you can live on the beach in that. You did not change that drastically.
It's true.
Is that, Jumbo, do you know, is that an ice house?
Oh, yeah.
Is that an ice house? It looks like it, doesn't it?
Here's Weisgerber's.
I think that's where our ice house was when I was a kid, right there. It seems like it.
There was an ice house there.
Yeah.
Right. That was one we used to play with.
Okay, we're coming down the home stretch.
This is on Ridges Road. This postcard, I have one that was sent that was dated 1912. So I'm assuming that's approximately the date of this. And it's where the yacht club was, across the harbor, where those, I don't even know what they are. Are they duplexes? Are they condos?
Just
All
condos.
around that area there.
Did that burn?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if that, yeah, it probably did, didn't everything?
There was a big rolling dock. It was a wooden ramp, I can remember that, you can see the railing.
But see, I never remember a lighthouse down that hill.
Well, I can't remember the light.
That's not a light, did I say lighthouse? I'm sorry, it was a life-saving station.
Weren't the Hickeys a bit into that?
There were some of the members of that
Of the Hickey
crew
family?
that were Hickeys, yeah.
Okay, why is there a power pole in the water?
That was probably a telephone pole.
Or a telegraph pole.
That's what it is.
But in the water?
They had to go where they had to go, Christy.
Better
I
reception.
don't know, seems
This is
weird.
out by the Coast Guard too, is it not?
Yes. This is out by the Coast Guard, which probably one of those was Winniger's dock to the back. You can see where they would have hung the nets.
That was Cliff Winninger's old fishing.
Yep. And you can see his boat as you go out towards the end.
Yeah.
We're going to see if we can do a program on Winniger's. One of his would be his granddaughters or grandsons has a lot of stuff.
I have a story.
Okay, here, I'll get
Yeah.
you the microphone before you tell your story. Otherwise, I can't hear you.
In the book Iron Men, Wooden Boats and Iron Men, the story about that dock is that the people who worked on the boats weren't the smartest ones around. So they had one person who couldn't tell time. And when the boat was taking off of that dock, he was running along, and the captain yelled, "Get aboard!" They'd wait for him. He ran and got aboard. It was in the book.
Schmidt's Gazebo, that was the place to go. That's the yacht club area. Max Welton Braze, huh?
Yeah, I think that must have been soon after it was built.
Anybody know who that is?
Bonnie Gordon?
Bonnie Gordon.
You know where that anchor came from?
No.
Right out behind Nelson's. Don't you remember when the LeClaire's, they had that big mess of who was going to pull the anchor out of the water that time? They had to call the cops. That wasn't all. And Bonnie bought that anchor and moved out to the lodge. I think it's still out there, isn't it?
No, she took it with her, I
Oh,
think.
she did.
On the plane?
Yeah, on the plane.
Why does it say Germany at the bottom? Does that mean came out of Germany?
Yeah, in those days, almost all postcards of quality came from Germany.
Wow.
I don't know.
It's very old, we know
Well, do you notice
that.
it says Kangaroo Lake, but greetings from Sturgeon Bay?
And that looks like you're looking west, I'm guessing.
Yep. And here we are.
And now we're looking east.
Christy, can you go back to that first shot of, there? It looks to me like one of the gentlemen, sort of in the middle of the picture, is shooting. No, the other one.
There.
It looks like he has a gun, a rifle.
Yeah, I think he does.
So did they shoot from there? I mean, hunt?
Maybe been duck hunting? Looking for turkeys? Strongburg Island and Kangaroo Lake?
Yeah.
Is that island still occupied?
There's still a house out there. I don't know who owns it any longer. Does anybody know who owns Strongburg Island?
It's Bill somebody, I don't
Oh, yes, I
Has
know.
3 little boys.
I know Bill. Bill Anderson.
Yes.
My grandfather built that boathouse out there. And one of the other buildings.
There's another home out there.
Okay, who in the audience is on this picture?
Okay, Carol, is that you?
Right.
Yes. The end.
And back to the end. Well, this has been such great fun. As you see, you could go on forever and ever, so we only chose a small portion of what we had. So much of it is just seeing it and getting everybody's reaction to what it is. You want to put the lights on? So anyway, we thank you all for coming. It got a little bit longer than we thought, but it was such wonderful input from everybody. Yes?
Be placed on a CD for sale so that the money can go into the Historical Society?
That's what we're thinking of doing, is putting them on, and then probably put all of them on, because then you can just view them at whatever you want. So that's one of our ways of earning some money to support us. Thank you all for coming. This has been just awesome. We really appreciate it.